Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I want to talk for a little bit. I feel like we need more interaction. We need more friends, especially due to COVID. So I want to show you something I'm working on. Yeah, the camera's everywhere. I'm sorry, please don't get dizzy. I'm working on, if you couldn't tell, I love dogs. I'm obsessed with labs, especially I love all dogs, but so I have lab covers and I make lab shirts. I get pictures like from calendars, off the internet, print them out on transfer paper, and I put them on shirts. I give them away. I'm trying to get to my craft room at the moment, so I'm having to move around a little bit. This is going to be a little bit of a long video because I do want to try to get to help everyone to get to know me a little better. And let me grab my stuff here. We're going to go to my craft room. Sorry if you're having to look up my nose. Oh, I thought I had another dog picture over there on the wall, but I actually took that one down. So let's get to my messy craft room. Please forgive the mess. But it is a damn gom right now. And when I say gom, you're going to see why. Yes, so that's today's project. Getting organized because I need to. So I've talked before about my OCD, Tourette's, and I've talked a little bit about how I used to hoard. Yeah. So what I have to do every so often, bite the bullet, get in here and get the work. I don't ask for any help because I feel like it's my house. I created the mess. I need to clean it up. Yeah, the rest of my house is like spotless due to that part of my OCD. But another part of my OCD causes me to hoard. Yeah, it's not horribly bad, but that's because like the other part of my OCD kicks in and then I clean it out and donate it. You know, but this is starting to really overwhelm me. But I make wreaths and let's see if I can find one. So yeah, this video is going to be me talking about all kinds of stuff and cleaning up, and let me get this plugged up and then we're going to have a chat. Feel free to look around. And I'm sorry I'm not the most experienced YouTuber and the most organized, but I also feel like that makes me a little more relatable because I'm not this seemingly perfect YouTuber who has everything organized and edited and put together well. And because people aren't perfect. We're not perfect. We're not, we're normal. We're human. Yeah, I have to brush my hair. That's a part of my OCD. I have to brush my hair every so often because I run my fingers through my hair a lot. And I feel knots and I have to brush it. So that's another fact about me. I really want you guys to start, if you have YouTube channels and you make videos, leave in the comments so I can go sub to you. And I'll watch your videos and interact with me on TikTok and Twitter. My TikTok is Bisexual Hillbilly 0, and my Twitter I think is Bisexual Hillbilly. I can't remember. I may change the name again. I go through names like crazy because like one day this is funny to me, the next day this is more serious to me, and yeah. So one of the first things I want to talk about with you all is due to COVID, many places aren't offering support groups for people because of COVID. So I want to offer my services for support. Now, I am not a doctor. I am not a licensed psychiatrist or licensed therapist of any kind. I'm not a nurse. I used to work in rest homes and hospitals and things like that. But if you need a friend, sorry, my titties are cattywampus right now. Oh, sorry. If you need a friend and just someone to talk to or to vent to or whatever, I'm here. I seen a comment recently. A married couple, 2 women went and got, I don't know if it's called in vitro or exactly what it's called, but they had gotten pregnant and they were expecting baby. Unfortunately, they had a miscarriage about 7 months down the line, and due to COVID, there were no support groups open. And it got me thinking, right now, a lot of things are going on in this world. And due to COVID, we can't be there physically to support one another during these hard times like we used to could. So, yeah, we can get online and we can talk, text or whatever, but it's not the same as physically getting a hug or physically sitting down and holding a hand and saying, I'm here for you. I am here for you. We have a lot of domestic abuse survivors, abuse survivors in general, who need someone right now and they don't have anyone. We have a lot of families who have had a family member pass away or killed or lost a baby or different things, just a lot of different situations, and there's no support groups open in most towns right now. So I want to just really, let's focus on that for a minute. And if you need someone, get up with me. Go in the comments, or Twitter, TikTok, either one, and DM me, and I'm there. Even if I can't, physically do anything, I can still emotionally, verbally try to be here for you as much as possible. But let me make this clear though. This is for support. This is not an invitation for nudes. This is not an invitation for hookups. I keep seeing comments of people being like, hey, you want to hook up? Or, hey, blah, blah, blah. I'm not looking for that. I'm not looking for that. Trust me, you shouldn't be trying to find that with me either. I'm not the one to settle with, okay? I am offering support because, all bullshit aside, people need help right now. People need all the love they can get, even if it's from a stranger. A stranger just saying, hey, I relate. I went through that too. Hey, okay, for example, the couple who lost their baby last couple weeks ago, she was 7 months pregnant. There were people, this was a gay couple, 2 women, doesn't matter, gender, but all that doesn't matter. Just to point, some of the comments that I seen were horrible. One person actually commented, lucky baby. I thought to myself, why are people so evil? Why do you even go in their comments to say something as disgusting as that? Why not just don't say nothing at all? If you're homophobic and you don't agree with them bringing a child into their life, go live your life. You don't have to rain on their parade. Because let me tell you something. I know plenty. Even if I didn't know gay families, I know plenty. And their children are so loved and so supported and stable and have the best life. They're living their best life. And it just burns me up when I see people say stuff like that because they're gay. I see videos all the time, people claiming to be Christians. They'll be like, well, you'll burn in hell, or you're this and you're that. Let me tell you something. I don't feel like God, if you believe in God or Jesus, I don't feel like they would do that. I don't think just because it's in that Bible that it's true. There's a lot of metaphoric type stuff in the Bible if you believe in that. But I don't think for 1 second that if there is a loving God, I don't think that he would judge 2 men for loving each other. I don't think that he would hate or force 2 women to burn in hell because they are together in a relationship. I think if God and Jesus is real, they're going to say, hey, that's one more person to love you. That's another person in your life to give you love. That's how I feel. But that's just me. I'm not the world. I'm only one person. So I also feel like, think about situations where, like in my situation a long time ago, I had nobody. I didn't have anyone to tell me that everything was going to be okay. I didn't have anyone to tell me that I was doing better, that I looked better, that I was stable again. I didn't have that. And then one day, there was a woman who I met at the store, and she come up to me, and we hit it off. We started talking. Eventually, we started dating, and we fell in love. And even though the relationship didn't work out, we still remain friends, best of friends. And she told me something one day, and it meant everything to me because we were talking about the same situation. And she says, if there's a God and there's Jesus, and you had nobody in your life, and then all of a sudden I came along, I feel like God would be like, hey, that's one person. You had nobody. At least you have that one person now who loves you and who supports you and who's trying to help you get on your feet and do better, and supporting you to be more positive and try to live. And that meant everything to me because that's how I felt. I felt like if there is a God, God would want us to love each other. God would want all of us to support each other. But people are so stuck on what that piece of paper in that book says that they judge and they hate and they criticize, and they're so nasty to other people because of what that book says. You weren't even there when that book was made. You don't know who. All you know is somebody told you from somebody else that somebody else said that somebody was a prophet who wrote that book. But I thought, doesn't it say in the Bible that fortune telling's wrong? Trying to know what God says and does is wrong. Trying to prophesize or be a prophet is wrong. But then you believe in a book that's trying to tell you all that, and that's why it gets me so confused. But still, if there is a God and there is Jesus, and this God is as righteous as we claim to be, then I believe that God would want us to love everyone, of all kinds, of all shapes, everything, every being. God would not want you out here saying, oh, well, you're gay, you shouldn't have kids. Oh, well, you're gay, so, you're going to burn in hell. I don't believe that. I don't believe it for 1 second. I think that if God was here, God would say, you know what? That's one more person to love you. That's one more person for you to love who has gotten you out of a dark time and helped you get back on your feet. I feel like that's how I feel. But I see a lot of gay couples, a lot of trans people catching so much heat on the internet for living their life. Are you paying their bills? No. Are you buying their food? No. Are you supporting them? No. Huh. I watched an episode of Trading Spouses last night, and it broke me. It broke my soul. I was in tears. I was just... And it was the one that I shared earlier, Julie. The Trading Spouses with the homophobic racist, Julie. And the stuff that she said to Pepper. The stuff that she said about other people. And yes, we all have the right to have our opinion. But do you really have to allow your opinions to ruin everybody else's life? Or ruin everybody else's day? Trading Spouses and this family goes to a Mexican restaurant. It's in my other video. Go check it out if you want to see it. And a channel called Tinsel, Tinsel, shares these videos. But they go to a Mexican restaurant, and Julie, as the waiter is walking off, makes one of the most racist comments. Where's my American flag? And talking about how the Mexicans need to learn how to speak English over here. I'm thinking to myself, you do realize that most people that migrated over to America in the very beginning took it from the Indians first off, because they were here first, but most of them didn't speak English. Like, that's what these racists don't understand. And I know this episode is from years ago. Yes, I know that. Still doesn't make it okay. But that really broke me, because I seen her kids, her 2 children in her home, and they were just looking at her like, but that stuff rubs off. Y'all know, it rubs off. I'm so fortunate. I told you this video was going to just be all over the place. I ain't even started cleaning yet. But I was so fortunate that, yes, my family was poor. We were dirt poor. In the poorest part of North Carolina when I was a kid. And we were dirt ass poor. But one thing that we didn't have to deal with was our parents being racist or homophobic. We never heard that. Do you know that I know y'all gonna think I'm lying when I say this, but we did not know the N-word until we got to school. And we heard bullies saying it. We didn't even know what it meant. Now, that can also be a bad thing because I feel like schools should be teaching Black history. They should be teaching this to all children because, again, I didn't even know. When I first heard the word, of course, a white boy was saying it to a black boy, and everybody was like, "Oh my gosh," and I was like a deer in headlights. I had no idea what it meant. So I go home and I ask my dad. I'm like, "Hey, what does this mean?" And I just say it, and my dad is like, and then he backs up and he's like, "Oh, you know what? We actually really haven't talked about that because we don't live that way. We don't say that. I haven't really ever thought about teaching y'all about that because we don't say that." And it really just kind of dawned on me that, wow, that is a powerful word. That is so powerful. And the schools should be teaching they should be teaching more Black history. Most kids, like especially like little kids, they don't know racism. They don't know what it is until it's taught to them. Or it's done to them, I guess you could say. And another example was when I was in about probably like the fifth grade, I guess. There was a boy that I was really good friends with. His name was Rob, and in a little small town that we lived in. Even though my family wasn't homophobic or racist, the town was. A lot of the town was. And unfortunately, it overflowed into the schools. But a boy that I was good friends with named Rob, I had changed his name for right now. He was, at that time, of course, he didn't know that he didn't know that he was gay, but he was very feminine, and he would hang out with me, like with the girls, and he would liked during PE, he liked to sit down and cook and play house, and the boys would pick on him. Like, I'm trying to say this without saying real names and trying to say it right. Anyways, he would want to play like cooking and making mud pies, sand pies, and the boys would always come over and pick on him and be like, "Why? How come you don't ever want to play basketball or dodgeball? How come you don't ever want to play like with trucks and stuff?" And he's like, one boy, we'll call him Randy. Randy was like, "Only girls play with like making mud pies and baby dolls, and boys play with trucks." And I stood up one day and I was like, "I play with trucks. I love playing with Tonka trucks. I have several of like my families from back in the 60s when they were little. I have several that I play with." And Randy was like, "You can't play with trucks. You're a girl. Girls don't play with trucks." Back then I didn't understand that's what he was being taught at home. We weren't taught that. We were taught, play with whatever. If you are a boy and you want to dress up in a dress and play with Barbies, okay. If you want to go put your mama's heels on and her pearls and her makeup, go ahead. If you're a girl and you want to play with monster trucks and motor patrol cars, okay. That's how we were raised, but Randy's family and lifestyle was not raised that way. They were raised up to believe that, only boys do this and girls do that, and so the first word out of his mouth is, "You're a," rhymes with maggot. And I'm just standing there like, because we're only like in the third or fourth grade. I mean, and I'm just like, what does that mean? What does that even? And then of course Rob takes off running, crying, and I go after him. Teacher goes after him, and teacher breaks it up. We all go back inside to our class. So later on, a few minutes later, we go to lunch. During lunch, I look over next to me, and I had a friend, Shaquila, and I ask her, "What does this mean?" And she's like, "Shh, don't say that. You don't say that word." And I'm like, "Okay, it rhymes with maggot, but without the M, what does it mean?" And she's like, "All I know is we don't say that word. That's a bad word." But she didn't even know what it meant. So then we go to, whatever, we get home, and I go to my mom. I'm like, "Hey, I would need to ask you something, but I'm pretty sure it's a bad word, but I don't know why it's a bad word. Is there any way you can tell me what it means?" And she was about to go to her next shift at work, and she was like, "Is it like a curse word?" And I was like, "I don't know. I don't know what it is, I'm trying to figure out exactly what it is." And she's like, okay, just say it. I was like, well, I don't want to say it because, you know, um, Shasha told me it's a very bad word and I don't want to say it and get in trouble. And she was like, okay, well, you're not going to get in trouble. Just tell me what it is so I can tell you. And then when I told her, my mama was like, who told you that? Who said that? And then I'm like, oh gosh, I'm not in trouble. And she's like, no, you're not in trouble, but whoever said it's going to be in trouble. And I said, Randy said it. Randy said it to Robbie. And my mama looked at me and was like, why would he say that to him? And then we started talking about the trucks, cars, blah, blah. She said, Robbie can play with whatever he wants to play with. She said, okay, we'll deal with it more. But she still didn't tell me what it meant. So sometime later, of course, they told me, I learned all that. But later on in life, I asked her, I said, I always wondered why parents don't tell their kids what stuff means. And she said, back then in the 80s and like the early 90s, things were just more quiet. You didn't talk about sex. My mom was raised in a household where you didn't talk about sex, marital sex, anything. My mama was also raised that you didn't judge anybody for what they do, but you don't talk about it either. If a woman was getting beat by her husband, she didn't talk about it. She just stayed and dealt with it, unfortunately. And if a man was out cheating or, sleeping with other men or women or whatever he was doing, he didn't talk about it. He didn't tell anybody he was gay. He just raised his family, and times were different. So it makes me wonder, like in schools, before it gets used in a bad way, maybe parents or teachers should teach children that it's a bad word and how hurtful, or maybe, I don't know, that's what I'm wondering, like what, because these words have so much power. I mean, Robbie, if you could have seen Robbie's face that day, apparently Robbie knew what it meant. And I don't know, all I know is we're still friends. We've talked, me and Robbie talk a lot about our childhood and about the bad things that happened to us and stuff. And he was sexually assaulted when he was a child for years and years. And he was sexually assaulted by one of his bullies. But Robbie knew what it meant, and it hurt him. And I don't know, I think back to those times, to stuff like that happened. And I just remember that we weren't raised that way. My family just wasn't raised to judge other people or to be racist or to be homophobic. We just loved everybody. And that's how it was. Even though we grew up in North Carolina, our family loved everyone of every culture. We always had other races of all races at our house for cookouts and parties, and like literally every weekend we had neighborhood parties. And I'm so thankful for that. But after seeing that Trading Spouses episode and seeing her act that way in front of her children, it just got me to thinking, like, a child is like a sponge and how much they take and why they end up being the way they, end up being racist or homophobic but I don't know, it just made me think back to some of the bad stuff that I seen happen in school. And even when I got older, I'll tell you another little story. When I was actually in 8th grade, and me and another friend he was gender a male at that time, and we'll call him C. Love of my life, C. Was gay, and of course C wasn't like most of the other guys. He didn't hide it. He walked around, and would wear girl clothes and like do kind of like, like feminine talk and stuff. And I loved him. I was so obsessed with him. I had a biggest crush on him for a long time until I found out he was gay and there was no shot. But for a long time, I was just like, oh, I love him because his personality was so amazing. But when we were in gym one day playing dodgeball, a boy took a ball and threw it, hit him with it. He said, you like getting hit by balls. And boys tend to do that. At first that's what I thought, it was like, oh, well, boys, they throw stuff at each other and they talk like that locker room talk. They talk smack to each other. And I was thinking maybe that's what it is. And then the boy brings the ball again and hits him again. And he's like, no, you like them balls in your effing face, don't you? And then C is like, stop. And then C just kind of bumps it back. And then the other boy is like, no, you take it being you like them. I heard what you did. And C is like, what? And this boy starts accusing him of doing things with boys in the locker room. And I'm just thinking to myself, why are these people being so mean? Why do you have to bully? Why do you have to be so mean? Why do you have to be this way? Because I weren't raised like that. But of course, the other kids who were raised to be that way were like, yeah, do this, get him, do that, he did this. And I'm like, you guys are crazy. Why? But again, it's how they're raised. And they're not taught how wrong it is. C tried to commit suicide several times by the time we got to high school. Thank goodness he lived and he graduated high school and he got out of here. And now he runs his own business and he's showing all those losers up because he has everything and anything he could ever ask for. And we're still great friends. And we talk about, our childhood because, again, we grew up in a school that was so violent and racist and homophobic, and the teachers barely did anything. They were just like, y'all just get over there and hush. Or they'd be over there talking with their styrofoam cup, or they'd just disappear into the teacher's lounge for an hour. They just didn't give a shit. I don't know, I guess I've had a lot of this stuff on my mind. And, when you get older, you think about the past a lot, and that's what I do. I'm almost 36 years old, and I think about the past constantly. I think about stuff I should have done, shouldn't have done, just back and forth stuff. But one thing I can say that I'm so, I might not have made all the right decisions throughout my life, and I have been an addict. I have been a strung out pain pill addict. I've been an alcoholic. I've had so many awful things that I've done to my own self, my body. But one thing that I can say is that I have loved everyone. And I'm so thankful that my family gave that gift to me. As a little child, from the time I was born, it was love everybody. You don't see, you're colorblind. You don't see color. You don't see gender. You don't see nothing like that. It's love, appreciation, respect. You get to know people. You don't try to be with people for their money. You don't try to bash people for what they believe in or what their lifestyle is. You just love everyone and you worry about yourself. You don't worry about what everybody else is doing. You worry about what your own ass is doing. And I'm thankful, and I thank you, parents. My mom is gone. She passed away a couple years ago. But I thank her every day for instilling that, in me, because that's one of the best gifts that we could receive as humans is the gift of love and to love everyone. And I wish more people had it. I'm trying not to cry because I miss my mom. I miss my best friend. I've lost two best friends, like they were close to me. Several family members and my mom. And it's so hard because even though I still have a couple family members left, it isn't like when I was younger. When you're younger, even though you go through a lot of trauma and abuse, you still remember, like me, I remember those Sunday dinners at my grandma and my great-grandma's house. I told you this video was just going to be rambling all over the place. I remember every Saturday night my grandma would start getting her stuffing and ham and stuff ready, chicken, collards, and the next day we'd go to my great-grandma's house and we'd have a big Sunday dinner every Sunday. I miss those days. Hold on one sec. I'm back. But yeah, I'm thankful that I had people who were smart enough and loving enough to be that way with us. Even though, we still went through a lot of stuff and we were like dirt poor. But we had something to eat. And we had our Sunday dinners and my grandma would be in there cooking, my mama would be in there cooking, and the, kids would be running around outside playing. All my cousins, family would be there. And as you start to get older and you get to about 14 years old or so, you start to try to kind of pull away a little bit Then you get 15, 16, you start to pull away. Then bam, before you know it, you're 20. Then you're about 21. And by 21, I had already been married and gone. And still did like Sunday dinners, but not as often. And then once Grandma started getting sick, great grandma had passed away already, so those had stopped. We were doing them at Grandma's house. And then by the time she got sick, those were slacking off. And I missed those. Man, if you got grandkids, if you got kids, have those dinners. Do that. I don't care if it's Tuesday dinner, Monday, whatever day it is. Pick a day and have that dinner with your family. Due to COVID, you can't do that right now. But with the family that you're living with, do it with them. The kids that you have in your home right now. If you have one or if you got 6, have a Tuesday dinner. Even if your spouse don't have time to sit down with you, I hope they do, but if they don't, still have that dinner with your kids. And put all the electronics up. And just talk. And get to know each other. Build that bond, build that relationship, and teach them something. Something good. Somebody was asking me the other day in the DMs about my addiction history. And I do want to, I've talked about it some off and on throughout videos, but I do want to talk to you guys a little bit about that, and I like these streaks. But I do want to talk about that because I feel like it's important to share our stories. We could possibly save lives if we share our own experiences, and we could possibly stop other people from having those experiences. Like I said before, I used to be bad on pain pills. For me, it didn't start as a teenager or when I was younger. When I was younger, I was that DARE kid that was, the DARE program in school where the sheriff deputy came out and you got t-shirts and all that stuff, and you put a sticker on your car and did little fire truck experience and all that stuff, and talked about, stay away from drugs. That was me. I was, no, you don't do this, you don't do that. And then by the time I was about 15, bam, weed. Then I quit. Because I realized at about 16 or so, I'm like, I don't need this. I'm trying to get a job. I'm trying to, go to school. I don't need that mess. So I quit. Then other things happen. When those other things happen, I put it in my head that, no, I'm not going to do drugs. Well, then when I was about 21, something horrible happened. And I want to get into that eventually, but I just can't right now. But when that happened, it broke me. And put it like this, that's where I got my first one. Every pain pill I had gotten before that, I would throw it away, flush it, or it'd sit in the cabinet for 5 years and get dust all over it. Didn't want no part of it. But then when this particular thing happened, I had to take them. I had my wisdom teeth taken out. Okay, well at that point, I didn't get addicted. It was no problem. They wrote me like $35 to get my wisdom teeth cut out and 1 or 2 more teeth worked on. And it was like Percocet 10. Took a few, got through the pain. A couple weeks later, I was healed up. No problem. Tylenol, ibuprofen. I was good. But then, I'll just go ahead and tell you. The person that I was with, I found out, was leaving me for somebody that they had met on the side of the road. It broke me because this person was the only person I'd ever knew. That was the only person I'd ever really been with in a serious relationship. He was everything that I knew. And when he was gone, I didn't have any kind of outside experience. We had been together for so long. Since early in my teens. 14, 15 years old. And I had been with him that long. And then when he was gone, I didn't know anything else. So I ended up getting into a bad situation and taking pain pills. Doctor prescribed them to me. And then once I ran out that time, I needed more. And then I needed pills to sleep with. Then I needed pills to get up with. Then I needed pills. And then I got into a bad car wreck. Now I had gotten clean because I had ran out. Once I got into a bad car wreck, they wrote them to me again. I had been clean for probably about a month. So, of course, you know what I did. I took them. And at that time, they were giving me like 90 90 Lorcets a month and about 50 Percocet 5s. And then the Zans to sleep. And I was young, but I wasn't a kid. I was like 23, 22, something like that. No, wait a minute. I was 21 or 22. Okay. So, yeah, I was still young, but, I mean, but at that point, my brain had gotten, I got myself so hooked. And I was trying to numb. And I'm not blaming that person. I'm just saying that I was trying to numb so much pain because that person and that life, that attachment was all that I knew. So then it became I had to have these to get up, to get down, to, just constantly when I'd run out, I would be withdrawing like really bad. Then I had to have them to be normal. And it got really nasty. And then one day, I had a seizure because I had taken too many. An ambulance had to come out, and they told me that it was damaging my body at like 24 years old, I think. And I was like, I got to stop this. I have to stop this. And I struggled for almost a year until I finally got on a program called the Suboxone program. And during that time, it was Suboxone, a little orange film. And you'd put it under your tongue, and it would take away all cravings. It wouldn't get you high. It didn't get me high. But I took it like I was supposed to, under the tongue, 3 times a day, and then within a month or so, it was weaned down to 2 times a day, and then in another couple months, it was weaned down to 1, another couple months, it was weaned down to a half, then and just so on and so forth until you're weaned off, and this took a year. I mean, it's not something you can do, or I could do, within a month. It took time. And it was so hard, because when I got down to the half a sub, I started thinking to myself, it's such a crutch. It's just such a crutch right now, and I was going through a lot and had lost another spouse that we had broken up, and I had to keep telling myself, you have to stay strong. You got to stay strong. You have to. And I did, and I got off of them, and fortunately I did, because they were damaging my body. And not just that, but the bad, stupid stuff I was doing on top of it. Now, I was never out there on heroin or crack. I knew friends who were, I knew family who was, but but still my addiction was no better. I mean, when you're eating 15, 20 pills a day, your addiction is no better than anybody else's. Okay, so I didn't judge anybody. I knew. And I was having to drink alcohol every night. I mean, I had a lot of issues. And to see my family, friends, other people go through the same thing. And then I went to my meetings. Of course, we had NA meetings. And I would see other people who went through the same thing. And that was kind of like the whole point of this video was back during that time, we could go to NA meetings. We'd go to AA meetings. We had support. We had people we could talk to. Right now, during COVID, we can't do that except like on Zoom or on Facebook or something, or text, FaceTime. And that's good. But it's not like sitting in person and hearing somebody's story. But hey, at least we have this though, And if you're struggling out there, I'm here if you need me. If you need help, if you need advice, if you need somebody just to vent to, somebody just to hear your story, I'm here. Talk to me. Leave in the comments if you want me to sub to your channel, or leave in the comments if you want to message me on Twitter. Go on, either way. Email me. Yeah, I've been through a lot. Been through eating disorders. I talk a lot about that. I had a severe eating disorder which damaged parts of my body. I still deal with the damaging that I did to my body. But back to the Suboxone program. Some people don't do well on it. Some people do. It saved me, and I'm thankful. I know some people don't have the same experience with it. I know some people say they get on the methadone program, but for me, I was on the methadone program, and it was not better. All it did was get me hooked on methadone severely, because methadone is like synthetic heroin almost. If you go through methadone withdrawals, let me tell you something. That's one of the hardest things I've ever done, was come off methadone. It was worse than coming off of pain pills like Percocet, Lorcet, Xanax. Methadone, that's when you start having crazy thoughts. Like, you just don't even want to do it anymore. one of the hardest drugs to come off of. I can't even believe they use methadone for drug abuse treatment. It's a strong drug itself. Like, it should be for pain. Like, people with cancer get it, and that should be all it's for. It should not be for to come off drugs with. Suboxone I can understand because you can't take 10 Suboxones and get high. You won't feel it. It don't work that way. But methadone, you take a bunch of them and you're gonna be doning out. That's what we call it, doning out. It's dangerous. Don't do that. It's bad. I want to do a video where I talk about my drug history though, because I mean that was a lot of it there, but still there's more. But I'm gonna close this out and get to work. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Share your thoughts and stories in the comments. Thanks for watching.